And can you both see my screen?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. So as I go through this, please stop me if you have any questions. Otherwise, I'll just keep going on through it. So today's webinar is going over purchase orders, bills, and receiving documents, and just going over how to create them, how they get put in use, and how to convert them to bills and then use of receiving documents as well. Of course, to start, just to mention, if you don't have the accounting module, you won't be able to do the bills and receiving documents. So, but you will be able to still create purchase orders. So we'll start there. So we'll go ahead and click new purchase order. And of course, to begin with, it's going to ask for a vendor. So if you haven't already created vendors in the system, you can start by doing that. And it's simple, just like creating customers. You actually go here under vendors, new vendor there, or simple shortcut right there. Alrighty, so I'm going to just pull up one of my tests. Okay, and let's go ahead and we will create a purchase order. Okay, to start off, of course, when making purchase orders, you are, of course, buying materials usually from another vendor. So just by starting off, we have your item type here. And as you can see, we have a few things. You can start off with new part. Now this would be a part that is not in your system. You can quickly create it and add that in. A catalog item is on each part, you can specify a vendor. So what I mean by that is if I were to select catalog items, I would just see the parts that are specified to this vendor here. So on each part, there is actually a tab called a vendor tab that you can assign each part to. So if I were to select that, that's what you would get. And then part here is going to be all the parts under your setup screen. So all your parts, and I should mention that it needs to be active, of course. And as we go through down here, we can see we have some other categories. We do have expense categories, any expenses that you would owe to your vendor. And then we have some other categories here. Anything that doesn't fall within the realm of your usual materials, labor, equipment, outsourced freight, and items that you would have. So let's select a part here. And as you can see, you have your whole list of parts. Now, you don't have to, of course, drill down this list. If you know the part, you can type it in.
What, just under item name or description? Just under item name.
Just under item name.
And does it search? So for instance, if you put in SEW, would it show up stock search sewing or something like that?
Correct. It will start going through whatever it starts with. So as you can see here, you not only have your materials, you pretty much have your equipment and labor, you have all your parts. So that's why you kind of saw. But yeah, just the first few letters and it will start searching.
Does it actually have to start searching on can you actually can you search, for instance, is ACP Bermuda, could you search on star BRM? If you're just looking for something with Bermuda
Oh, like using
bronze?
a wildcard like the Explorer?
Yeah, yeah,
No, you wouldn't be able to do that.
right.
So yeah, just the first few letters of whatever it really starts with. That's about
Right.
what you can do. Now let's say we go through here, we set there, and you can see it automatically pulls in that part's description and its expense account. Now this would be the expense account that you would have specified on the part itself. And of course, if you want to, you can override that and change that to whatever expense account you want. And then for here, we're going to just put in a quantity of 1. Now, this quantity build and receiving and stuff, if you were using inventory, would come into play and affect those amounts. For our purposes, since two people we have on the webinar today don't have inventory, we won't really go over that. The unit cost that it pulls in is that unit cost that you would have set for your part. Sometimes it's going to be different. Maybe you're buying it wholesale. For that, you're going to want to change the unit cost, and maybe it's just a unit. So that might end up being each or something like that. Now, just remember, all these fields are pulling their default information from parts, so anything you see can be overridden. For status here, this is just kind of like your stations on what you want to set it. You'll see here in a moment when we save it, it will be beginning at a requested state. And GL department, if you want to specify one, just like a station. And if you're using it for warehouses. So warehouses would come into play usually if you have more than one division, alternative warehouses that you could select. Now, order and line item would come into play over here. So let's say you want to order this, but it's going to be for a specific order. So you need this specific material for this order and you want to attach it to it. So all you're going to do is pull up your Order Explorer and you can search whichever order. Now, do remember that if you were to attach a purchase order to order, the cost can carry over to that order. So for example, if I did pull that in, you can see that if there was more than one line item, you could associate that material for that particular line item. Also, from here, you can see we have new line items first and the second. So when you fill out the first, of course, you're going to have the second. If you want another one, you can do that. Copy from order and estimate. Now, this comes in handy whenever you want to pull a specific part. You don't want to go to that order. So let's pull up, let's actually pull up that order that I have there. And there you could see all the parts that are on that specific order. So if I need to, I could just click add. And then we have our part added. Delete, of course, is just to delete the line items that you don't need. Third one that's blank will automatically go away on save. Cloning, of course, just cloning the line item, making an exact copy of the top or the first, or I should say the second. And then sorting them. Sorting really comes on to play if you want to make the report go in a certain order. Down here we have what you're payable to. So usually it's going to be payable to you, of course. I should say to the vendor, I should say. And then their shipping address and then their payment terms. And then of course you can add a shipping method as well. So memo field is entirely for you, and then reference number as well. So let's go ahead and save that. And you can see we have some here. So we need a expected date. So that would be on the totals tab here. Go ahead and say today. These blue fields, I believe, can be turned off as required fields, so you won't have to have that there. I think it gave us another error about something not a line item not attached for an order. Okay, so now we have it at a requested state. So this comes in handy for your production staff usually whenever they place an order. You have your purchase order. Now, for you guys that are not using it in counting or inventory, we're not going to go into too much detail about that. So let's focus on what you could use purchase orders for. Purchase order would come in handy for, let's say, a production guy putting these in, and you as maybe the manager or owner approving them. So let's say you have maybe a dashboard that you create and you have an Explorer with all the purchase order requests that are coming in from your production staff as materials are needed. As you look on your dashboard, you'll see them all in a requested state. From there, you can see you have your change statuses. So here, of course, at the time when you hit approve, that's just letting the production people that you have approved that, and they can go ahead and order or receive that if they were, that was their task. Or if it's up to you after you approve it to go ahead and order receive it, then of course that falls in your boat. Now on your dashboards, as you would set up these explorers, you can set them to where the statuses are accordingly. So you have your purchase orders and they're all at status approved. So that would fall back on the production person and they would see it in their instrument underneath that status. And it's up to them to say, hey, now we need to go to the next step, and that would be ordered. And then from there, you have your receipt. So you can leave the purchase order open until you receive it or close. Now, these statuses don't have to go in order. Some people will just say, hey, I got the request. I'm going to approve it, and then quickly just go to close it. You can go through the whole statuses. Probably better, to do that. So when you've actually got that material in, you select receive, and then close itself. So some people do like that. So, but you don't have to go in these particular orders. So the other caveat to this is if you did have the accounting module is you can turn this into a bill. So that's why you have this convert here. Converting to a bill allows you to basically print out a check to make it payable to this vendor. So you could pay bills and create them in the system here. And then convert to a receiving document. Basically, it is basically used for reporting purposes. So when you convert it to a receiving document, you're able to print out this nice report that whenever you get the materials, whatnot, you could sign off on it. So really, that's the main purpose behind that. The accounting functions really come to play whenever you convert something to a bill. So for Deborah or Michael, anytime in the future, if you decide to get on that, something that you could use. People that do have the accounting module tend to find that's kind of pretty useful because control just allows you to print checks and send it off to them. So any
Checks.
what's that?
Sorry, we tend not to. I try to use checks as little as possible.
Oh, right. Any questions, Michael or Deborah, as
No,
far as
nothing at all.
creating them and how to use them with your production staff?
That's pretty straightforward.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's pretty straightforward too, Craig. Thank you.
Okay. Yeah. The like I said, and the only other caveat is, making it easier on yourself as you go to order them. I would say probably the other thing, and just being able to go to part setup was kind of referring that to earlier. So this is kind of what I meant by that. So if I were to add a particular vendor and maybe it's just material you'd buy from that certain vendor, I could add them and that becomes a catalog item. So it makes it a little easier when you're ordering particular materials from a vendor. But like I said, you don't really, people that don't have the accounting module, they do find this useful. Of course, you do have to have vendors in there, so you have to start there. And if you do have a vendors list that's on Excel, remember, just like your customer list, you could import them all. You don't have to create them individually. So if you guys don't have any questions on purchase, or do you guys have any it's an open floor? Any questions on anything else about control? Any pricing questions? Anything like that?
Continuing on with this on the purchase orders. So when it goes to print them out, does it have to have a unit cost in there?
So you're saying right here? So you don't want
Yeah.
so
Yeah,
just to be just zero?
Just zeros. Yeah. Yeah. So that's okay. Yeah.
Yeah, no, that's a possibility.
Right.
Any reasoning for that? Just
Yeah. You know, getting it from different. If we want to email this to a vendor, and just as a purchase order, not wanting to have the unit cost because you know we might be trying to negotiate a better cost or whatever else.
Oh, okay. Yeah, no, that's certainly that'd be
Yeah,
definitely.
so I don't sort of say, okay, oh yeah, we've got it in there at $9, and I want it from you for $6.50 sort of thing.
Correct. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's true. Because yeah, these were basically unit costs that you put in the very beginning of the system.
That's
So
right.
years could have gone by, and yeah, definitely prices could have
Yeah.
changed or negotiated for better prices. Yeah, no, smart.
Yeah.
Deborah, did you have any questions?
No, I don't think so, Brett. I've been using the purchase orders for a little while. I think it is all pretty straightforward. Thank you. Yeah,
Oh, okay, sure.
yeah, it's all good.
Okay. Any other questions about any other aspects of the control?
I'll just continue with this now. So where do we go for reports to find out what are outstanding as far as purchase orders and everything else? There is a report section on that, so.
Yes. So under reports and vendors and payables, area purchase order reports, and this is a good point. You have your open summary and your detailed report. So open summary, of course, will be just your vendors listed that are outstanding. Open PO detailed list of vendors, and then the each individual purchase orders under them. Yeah, purchase order listings. Not too sure what that report's about. Let's see. Okay, so it looks like just everything that you've every purchase order that you got, and then you could select among the statuses on this one. So I was mentioning earlier, these reports are definitely useful. You say one of these detailed ones here, and then I was kind of alluding to earlier is creating a dashboard with explorers. It's a way for between production staff and you to keep eye on things every day.
Right.
I was just seeing if we had a. I was just seeing if maybe we had one of those dashboards somewhat set up for purchase orders, but it doesn't look like it. Michael, do you currently have since you haven't really done purchase orders and control, do you have a system in place for that?
No, not at all.
Okay. So,
That's why I was interested in getting it done. Yeah. Just being able to give us a bit more tracking on what's going on and what's and I keep getting handed invoices all the time, but never sure what it applies to.
oh, okay. Yeah, no, most definitely. Now, you only mentioned you had a couple of vendors, so I guess you have a vendor list.
Yeah.
Okay. So definitely, you can get that imported or created manually and then kind of get started from there. Just like,
Yeah.
develop a process between you and your employees on the production staff, because they're usually the ones that are going to be knowing what's out or what's low or what needs to be reordered. So
Yeah,
kind of
that's right.
a
Yeah.
simple way for them and guys to manage that.
No, perfect. We get started on that one.
Oh, yep, yep. And of course, as always, if you're starting to implement that and you have any questions, just shoot me an email or give us a call.
Fantastic. Prath, thank you once again.
Oh, yeah, you're very welcome, Michael. Deborah, anything for you? Anything else for you, I should say?
No, I don't think so. I think you covered it all fairly thoroughly. So thanks, Brad.
Oh yeah, you're welcome. And Deborah, as I mentioned, if you guys have any questions all like this, don't always have to wait for the webinar. Feel free to shoot an email just at support@sirius.com, and I'll definitely answer it if I can via email or give you guys a call.
Cool. All right. Thank you very much, Brad.
All right, thank you guys for both coming.
Thanks, Prath.
Okay.
See you next
All
week.
right, take care.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.